discussing trends. I'm Tom Reynolds, I'm Chief Executive of the Bathroom Manufacturers Association. I'm very privileged to be joined by an excellent expert panel who I'm going to ask to introduce themselves in their own words. So if I can start first of all with you, Sophia, and we've got a microphone that we're going to hand down the line. So.
Hi, I'm Sophia Charalambous, co-founder of Origins Living. Fabulous brand just across the way.
Very convenient.
Very convenient, very convenient.
Hayley.
Hi, I'm Hayley Robson, Creative Director of Daytrue. We have a showroom in Wimbledon Village.
Hello, I'm Nigel Palmer. I'm Head of Marketing at House of Roll and Aqualisa, which, if we're allowed to plug, is just two stands over there, and you really mustn't miss it.
We don't have a stand.
We didn't locate this talk equidistant between the stands consciously.
I didn't realise that our stand was just...
Yeah, but not planned, but very, very convenient. So, first of all, I'm going to ask each of our panellists to kind of set their stall out in terms of what they see as emerging trends. And we'll then go take the conversation from there. So let's start. You holding the mic, Hayley. So let's start with you.
We didn't go to KBS. I know you've just been to Vegas and KBS, which obviously is an American market, which I do think is very different to the European market in terms of trends. But I think there are some synergies between the two. For us, what we're seeing a lot of, specifically bathrooms, I think we're talking about, and I think you will see a lot of that today, is in terms of shapes, I would say much more organic, softer curves, seeing a lot of fluting, and I think generally overall people are trying to soften that space to just make it a bit warmer, a bit less clinical, I would suggest.
Yes,
Sophia?
I actually agree that in the bathroom has always been very sterile, very white, and what we're seeing at Origins Living is people want a living space, so they want to use their bathroom as their sanctuary, as their retreat. The bathroom is the only internal room in the house where there's a lock on the door, so they don't want that just bog standard placement of products. They want to be able to relax. The other thing we're seeing, I don't know if you're seeing it, is that bathrooms, dressing rooms and bedrooms are merging together, and so the bathroom needs to lead on from the bedroom and the dressing room, and it's all blending together rather than a distinct rooms.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing that too, and I think in a way lockdown reminded people what a bathroom ought to be. It's that escape room, it's that sanctuary, it's that it's almost a literal quarantine from the rest of your family when you need it to be. And so people were spending more time. I think people who had the time at home were spending more time in the bathroom, having longer baths, feeling that was helpful, not just from just that sort of functional cleanliness point of view, but also from a mental health, a relaxation point of view. And I think that's had a permanent change. I honestly, we see people come into our showroom in the design centre in Chelsea, and all of the things Sophia and Hayley were talking about there, a richer space, a space you want to spend time in. I think those things are driving all the trends at the moment.
Right, I'm going to kind of think back to our last session this morning, which was about health and well-being. A key part of the conversation then was about the kind of real expansion and interest in spa-like bathrooms, and this kind of talks to something which a couple of you mentioned there about it being a sanctuary, the bathroom. Do you see that as something which is kind of gathering further momentum, or perhaps a trend that's going to peter out?
I think when people say spa, I think the obvious association is steam room, sauna, hydrotherapy, and I don't necessarily think that is what we mean. I think Nigel said, lockdown really made people realise that they need to relax, they need time and space, time out, somewhere to go, lock the door, and it can be as simple as a relaxing bath, spending more time. But I also think there's elements, life is really busy and stressful and full on, and you want things to be easy. You want to be able to, things to be intuitive. You want it to be natural. The bathroom should be a real pleasure to use, not a stressful experience. And I think that is when we talk about spa or relaxing for me, that's certainly what we're seeing a lot of. Yes, all of the other elements that relate to spa and water are there's health benefits to that, saunas, cold plunging in a bath. So it doesn't necessarily always mean, you have to create a sauna and a steam room. I think there's lots and lots of other ways that we create that feeling in a bathroom.
Sophia, how do you create with accessories, which is really the cornerstone to your business?
Well, for us, we see the mirrors and the accessories. We see the mirrors and accessories as both form and function. So they serve a purpose where you'll hang your robes, you'll hang your towels. A mirror is to check your reflection. But for us, especially at Origins Living, is about creating beautiful pieces that are art, that look beautiful, because you don't want to go into a bathroom and you've got an ugly hook and you've got an ugly mirror. You want it to look beautiful. And for us, and the exciting part is when we have designers like Hayley, is to push boundaries and making pieces that are very fluid, and also how it fits in with the client. So I've got a quote on the other side of our stand about a room should not be created for a show. It shouldn't be created for Instagram. It should be created for your soul and how you use it in your household. Is it an ensuite? Is it a family bathroom? How is it? Colours. But for me, I'm a very big mirror fan, because that's what I do all day long, is looking mirrors. And it's how you position them, because they can make the room look very big, they can add light. So it's not just about checking your look.
Nigel, House of Roll are across pretty much every product category in the bathroom.
Yeah.
What for you is the key elements of creating that kind of spa-like experience?
Yeah, I think, I completely agree with Hayley that I think spa is, it's about wellness and health. It's not necessarily about, tools that, baths that blow bubbles or anything like that. It's more about considering your bathroom as a wellness space. I think one of the trends that we've seen in terms of the sort of products that we sell is a real interest in the materials and the tactility of products, and you're seeing much more natural materials and mixes of materials come into the bathroom. One of the things that's interesting on our stand, we've got a mat bath on a rotating plinth on the corner. And you just watch people as they walk past, they just stroke it and touch it because it's unusual. You're used to, in the bathroom, traditionally very glossy surfaces. I think matte surfaces, they just work so well in the bathroom. They diffuse the light, they create a gentler atmosphere, and they also, certainly the baths, they have that sort of rather velvety touch to them. And honestly, you just stand there for a couple of minutes, you'll just watch people going past, touching it and stroking it. And that sort of tactility, I think that's an important, part of a spa bathroom.
Okay, I want to talk, spa bathroom immediately kind of conjures up images of like 25, 30 grand bathroom budgets. How can it be achieved for people that...
Yes, please, and come to us.
At the other end of the scale, how can it be achieved on a budget?
So I start as I've got it. So
not with any House of Roll products.
No, I'm not going to specifically plug anything, but I think people who come into our showroom in the design centre and talk about a budget. There's a number of ways you can look at it. I think one of the things people often try and do is, they find a particular piece they really like and go, that I really want that, and then I can compromise around it. And that could be the freestanding bar, but it might be some brassware that's fantastic. They may have found some amazing handmade tiles that they really want in the bathroom, and then sort of work around that. I do think it's really important, back to your point, Sophia, of finding some, of making this very personal. Bathrooms should be a really personal space. So even within a budget, I think that's possible to do that, to start with something that speaks to you. And then if you have to compromise around that, so be it. But start with something that you really love and speak to. And if you have to compromise a bit elsewhere, then okay.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I do think there's lots of exciting products that we're seeing because of advances in materials and things that are allowing us to change how we design a bathroom. They're very normal size spaces in most cases, and they've been done the same way for a very long time. And I think things like smaller baths, clever materials that mean things are thinner, allow you to potentially separate the bathing and the showering, which in the same footprint, but it means you can really relax in a bath. You can really have a really functional, quick shower in the morning when you need things to be, really quick and functional. So, I think there's lots of colours as well. I think we're still seeing lots of colour, and it's a bit like Sophia said, when we're seeing merging, a bit like the kitchen, living, dining space, the bathroom, bedroom, dressing is merging, and that's sort of taking down walls, removing doors, and blurring the spaces. So it has to be softer. And there's really clever ways on a budget to be able to do that, but it starts with good design, in my opinion. The space is there, you've got to make it work really hard. You want to try and maximise the functionality of every element, and that could be as simple as storage, so it's an uncluttered space, you've got somewhere to put everything, the lighting, so you can change that throughout the day, so it's really functional in the morning, really relaxing in the evening when you want some downtime. So it's all little things that, for me, build up the design, the functionality, the palette of materials, natural things. People want to be surrounded by things that are going to soften it. So less reflection, like you said, matte materials, colour, blurring and mixing of materials also makes it timeless as well as, relaxing.
BMA's been doing regular demand polling, and one of the things that we've seen emerging from that analysis is a trend toward partial refurbishment rather than full bathroom refurbishment. Starting with you first, Hayley, and then coming to you, Sophia. How does that kind of jar as a designer, having to do a partial job? And then for Sophia, perhaps ask what solutions you see to that partial refurb that can really inject some style.
I mean, as a designer, that's hard, because generally it's very rare that we will take a room and just rip out and replace the product where it is. It doesn't happen, because ultimately, bathrooms, people don't do this very often. They tend to do it every 10, 15 years, and therefore designs and products and materials have changed in that time, and therefore there's always a better way to do it. There's more efficiency in terms of layout and space. So it's hard to do that. It's possible, and there's lots of good products to do that. And again, I would say that's more about the materials and the palette and softening, but it does make it a bit more difficult.
Well, I'm going to state the obvious, because we're mirrors and accessories. So if you're doing a partial refurb, we find that we have the partial refurb are changing your mirrors and your accessories. But going beyond that, it could be that you have a half-tiled room, and then you just change the colour of the paint. You change your accessories, your towels, the finishing touches. And we find, in terms of new builds, they don't add accessories and mirrors, so you go into a very uniform, sterile space. The way that's going to work is adding pieces that are your own. And coming back earlier, we're seeing a trend towards more fluid shapes, more natural colours. So you can do that easily with mirrors and accessories. So if you're just doing a partial refurb, it could be that you need to upgrade your taps or your shower. Baths are very expensive, shower enclosures are. So really, the only thing if you're doing a partial refurb is changing the colour of your paint, changing your mirrors, accessories, and possibly taps. I don't think you can do anything else. And even if you were to remove a bath and put in a shower, again, that's difficult. That's going to cause a lot of problems, especially with the tiles. But what we always suggest is pick timeless colours, and if you're going to half tile the room, at least change the colours.
So you finished the answer with colours then. I'm going to throw that right back at you as we kind of get into some of the brass tacks of trends that are emerging this year. I've just come back from KBS, as Hayley mentioned, and one of the things that struck me in brassware in particular is that basically there's an absolute convergence around 4 finishes. And I'm starting to see, actually, just from walking this show, it's very similar 4 finishes to the ones on display here. Obviously, Perrin & Rowe, big brassware brand. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed incredibly over my time in kitchens and bathrooms. So, chrome 10 years ago would have been 90% of Perrin & Rowe sales. It's now less than half, and that's even chrome is the base price, so special finishes are more expensive. Not a lot more expensive, but they are more expensive. The brass finishes are the next most popular. The sort of alternative silver finishes like nickel and pewter are also growing for us. We with Riabel, which is our other brassware brand, they have a sort of hard anodized black matte finish which does well. So I think you're right, they are coalescing around the sort of brasses, around the sort of the blacks and those kind of matte colours, and the sort of alternatives to chrome in that kind of silver spectrum. And it's interesting how different designs really seem to excel in particular finishes. And again, you can look around here, not just at our stand, but lots of other brassware stands. You'll see particular designs just work so well in particular finishes. And so it's really worth thinking about that when you're choosing your pieces, thinking about the finish that you're going to put into it. I think it can even move something from something that maybe looks quite traditional, perhaps in chrome or in an aged brass finish, and then you put it in a pewter or a nickel, or you put it in English bronze, which is our kind of darker bronzy finish, and suddenly it looks quite contemporary. So it can really change the aspect of design on those pieces.
Yeah, I would agree. And I mean, same as you. In 10 years, I can't remember the last time I sold a chrome tap. And it's crazy to think that, because 10 years ago that was all anyone bought. And we have seen them change in terms of, I think I would slightly disagree with what you're seeing in America, because although I think they're very prevalent, I would say the more bronzy, coppery gunmetal is what we're starting to see more come to the forefront. I think we've been through the brass and nickel, and I think there's a place depending on style, but definitely sort of warmer, browner tones as opposed to grey, generally, I would say, are definitely coming through. And the sort of luxy coppery. But yeah, coloured brassware, definitely. And I think you're right, the style, it's almost like the finish changes the style as opposed to the design of the tap, which inevitably, for me, makes it have more longevity, because it's that mixture of materials that makes something, A, more individual, B, more timeless, which means it's going to be in trend for a lot longer.
I mean, for what it's worth, the four finishes that I saw that seemed to be very prevalent were matte black, no surprise there especially, brushed gold, brushed nickel, and there's still a lot of chrome in the States, and indeed over here, but far less prevalent than perhaps those other materials.
That they are, that there are those brushed, slightly more matte finishes. Again, I just think, if I was doing my bathroom tomorrow, matte finishes would be where I'd start.
Absolutely, and that, again, it's taking away the shininess, isn't it? So, and I think anything that is brushed or even changed, some really lovely organic brasses or living finishes, and people actually like the idea that it's going to change over time, because it makes it feel a bit more natural, which is the reality of a lot of products, and being surrounded by natural products and things that evolve is good.
Does it occur to you, though, the stark contrast to where we were 12 months ago, when you went to a show and every stand had kind of 100 different colours of kind of matte kind of primary colour finishes, and that's just disappeared overnight?
I think there's some that do lots of colours, but I think, and there will be a market for that, but it's quite a small market, I would suggest. So, but I think if you think about day to day, what are people asking for? It's for their home. It's not a hotel. It's a fancy cloakroom where they want a hot pink tap. They want something that's going to last, because it's not cheap to renovate a bathroom or a kitchen. It's a lot of money. So for me, you've got to really invest in the right materials, good quality, and something that's going to be almost trendless as opposed to on trend.
Sophia, any thoughts on kind of colour finishes?
Absolutely.
On frames and stuff?
Yeah. So we've noticed a huge demand in bronze. So we've got matte black, we've got the chrome, we've got the brushed brass, but it's brushed bronze, and we are also showing gunmetal, and everybody loves gunmetal. What we're finding is that the metals are also being mixed. So with brushed bronze, they're mixing it with black. It could be that they have black taps and they'll go for a brushed bronze accessory or a brushed bronze framed mirror. So there's a lot of mixing, and for me personally, as think the bronze is the bronze for me. I think it's timeless, and I agree with you. It's about having a timeless. It's not about being in fashion, because you have to live with this for at least 10 years. And if I was to give anyone any advice, is make sure when you're looking at that bathroom, you like it today, you like it 5 years, and you like it in 10 years.
Good stuff. So let's kind of stick with the real kind of detail of trends coming forward. Let's look at materials. So particularly around kind of furniture, other kind of parts of the
Can't answer on
bathroom.
furniture. I'll let Tom finish his question first.
So something which I've seen a lot is a lot of geometric kind of texture, if you like. I know that's a really clumsy way of putting it, but kind of fluting geometric.
You
patterns
can't
everywhere.
move at the moment for slatted wood, can you? I mean, literally. I mean, we've got it behind our kind of bar area over on our stand. You can't move for it. Look around here. I don't think that's a bad thing, though. I mean, I don't think that's going to be just something that's that's maybe last year and this year. I think that will hang around because I think there is this move towards more natural materials. That is actually a great way of bringing natural materials into the bathroom. I just want to make one point, going back to what we were talking about finishes. You're talking about, Hayley, natural finishes which evolve over time. So I think that goes back to a real desire for natural, authentic, honest materials. And the thing about a tap, which is unlacquered in brass, is there's literally no coating on it. So a chrome tap, right, is a piece of brass that's had chrome plating on it. A brass tap that is unlacquered is a brass tap. You're seeing the actual material it's made from, and I think there's a real honesty to it, and it's touching the natural material. And I think it's the same with wooden slats, and it's the same with that. There's just something very, it's just, there's a feel to that which we all kind of recognise.
I think you said it, honesty is, and I think this could be a result of lots of things going on in the world, but people, like to feel something and it be the honest material it's made of. I think, like you say, the wood and being surrounded by natural materials. We're seeing a lot of marble in the bathroom because, again, it's very timeless, but it's come out of the earth, so it's not replicated, it's not printed, it's something that's evolved over a lot of time, and there's some real grounding to that, which I think we all need. So I would agree that something, and we're seeing that a lot, but ultimately the mixing, I think, of colours, materials, softness, wood, ribbed, fluted, they're all quite, lovely textures that all add levels to what was, if you imagine, a very shiny clinical space.
Is it that tactile element that's just somehow providing comfort to consumers?
I think so. And I walk around and I touch everything, and you want something to draw you in, actually, and you want to touch it, and it creates reflections and shadows and interest, and there's something really relaxing about that.
Sophia, any thoughts?
I think my thoughts are, it's more about transitional design. So anything, it's not about having a particular look. It's about merging different styles from traditional to modern, different shapes, the juxtaposition. I really like reflections, walking into the bathroom and I'm seeing different shapes and different textures. We have noticed that a lot of our mirrors are paired with concrete basins and natural wood products. There's a move away from that gloss.
Okay, so
Can I just follow
yeah.
up on that? I think that's a really interesting point. When I started, one of my early jobs in bathrooms, I worked at CP Hart, sort of luxury bathroom retailer, and they very much divided things between traditional over here, contemporary over here. Products were either traditional or contemporary. Do you want a traditional bathroom or do you want a contemporary bathroom? And then we sold you one or the other. There was a solid line between the two. And I just think that's gone. People come into the showroom and nobody uses that language. People are just putting together pieces that they feel work together. I think there's been a great sense of empowerment that things like Pinterest and Instagram have given people, in that suddenly they can go to, because remember, when anyone starts the bathroom process, it's really terrifying, right? It's a building project, it's a plumbing project, there's electricity, there's planning, there's design. It's really complicated. People are scared, and they come into this project and they want help from people in showrooms, and so they, in the old days, they were guided by that. You'll know Adam Haley at CP Hart Waterloo. He's there for 10 years straight. He's been the best salesman at London's biggest bathroom showroom, and he used to sell, when I was there, 90% of the same products to everyone. Every customer loved him, and they left the showroom going, "Oh, that Adam is giving me my perfect bathroom." And he sold them 90% the same bathroom that he sold everybody else. And he was just very clever in the way that he positioned it, and he trusted those products, and he believed in those products. He couldn't do it now, because what happens is people come in and they go, "I've seen this, it really worked. If I could put that together and that together and that together," and they're picking from everything. And I just think that's brilliant. Why should there be rules?
Completely agree. I think there's so much more choice out there. I think people don't want the cookie cutter bathroom. They're not buying a 3-piece bathroom suite like we used to, and it's not defined as one particular style. There's lots of different styles, and actually it's really unique to maybe the architecture, the style of house that you live in, the square footage, what you want it to function, who's using it, and what do you want it to do, and how's it going to make your life easier. And all of those elements combined with design and then the right products and layering all of those materials means hopefully we've got lots of different spaces, not one style. And I think that's a real demand.
I'm interested in this kind of tension that we touched on between timelessness and trends and fashion and style. And is there something to be said for the fact that where we are in the economic cycle, there's a bit of a flight towards the style timelessness end, and as hopefully the economy recovers towards the back end of this year, do you think that might turn a little?
I think, yeah. I think people want timeless because they don't want it to date, and I think we've got to be really careful talking about trends in terms of colours and fashion, and because you have to look at fashion and where that's going, and people are really consciously spending their money on good quality, buying well, buying better. Fast fashion is a no-no. So we have to be promoting, especially in interiors, the same ethos, is that, look, do it right, buy good quality, and it will last. And it will look great in 10 years.
So we've done materials, we've done colours, both, brassware and more widely. Let's talk about bathroom configuration and product selection. So we've got some research just done recently that more and more people are open-minded around basically replacing baths with double width showers. However, there's a lot of evidence that still a house is more saleable if it's got a bath in than if it's had its bath removed. Where are we in terms of product selection trends?
Well, from what we see, we don't really see any evidence of people giving up on baths, but I think you're right that what people are often doing within a house, if they can and if they've got the space, is creating those more dedicated spaces. So they may have the one bathroom which will have the bath and which will have that feature, and then creating a shower room. I think that's still a popular split. But I think one of the things that's really grown for Victoria and Albert is the compact baths. So lots of baths that are about 1,500 mils long. So in fact, those will fit into the spaces that traditionally you just put a kind of rather clunky steel inset bath and tile around it, but you can have a freestanding bath in that space, and it actually gives a greater feeling of space because you see more floor around it. So actually, you get a slightly enhanced feeling of space. So those have been a big success for Victoria and Albert, and suggest to me that people, even when they've got quite a compact space to work in, still want that freestanding bath. But I understand that there's that's about people making those more decisive design choices. No, I want the big luxury shower because that's what I need. That works for me. And I think you used to have people designing bathrooms for the next owner of the house. Why do that? Why design for resale? Design for you now. And I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, I'd agree. And we've done, although estate agents don't like it, we've done a lot of apartments, especially in London, where we're like, take out the bath. Because if your only choice is a horrible shower bath with a screen that's is a compromise, don't do it, because it's always going to be a compromise for everyone who's using it. So I think people want to separate the bathing as a relaxation, and I think there's lots of materials and Corian and composites that have made that possible, because the footprint, the external dimensions are much smaller. Wet rooms. We've done a lot of merged spaces, which is a freestanding bath in a wet room, so you're getting the best of both worlds. And that can be achieved in a really compact space. One of our suppliers, Rexa Design, they make this bath. It's based on the Japanese principles of bathing. So it's really, you sit upright in it, and it's not very long at all. You can't even stretch your legs out, but it's really deep. And the idea is your organs float. So so it's healthy for you. And so when we're talking about spa-like bathrooms, it's changing the mindset of what is the typical bathroom. And I can't tell you how many architects' plans I see where it's a new build house or a development, and they're still drawing in a 1700 by 750 built-in bath. It really destroys me. And we just knock all the walls out, and and often we'll make the bathroom smaller, but it will function so much better.
We got any developers in the...
Sorry that I've offended you.
We'll send them the video, Hayley, don't worry. Sophia, in terms of kind of furniture, accessories, what are the kind of key product choices that you see?
We're finding in terms of configuration, there's been a big move to niches and making the storage within the wall, so you're not using up the space within the confines of the bathroom. We've seen a big trend in not having wall mirrors, either recessed or not wall mirrors, wall cabinets, either being recessed or having a mirror and you have the furniture underneath. But for us, it's the biggest thing we've seen is niches, where they don't have them. My brain stopped. Where they create the niche, so you've got that storage, especially in a shower or within the bath. The niche is created. They're putting LED lighting. They're putting in glass shelves. So it's about, again, I keep coming back, form and function. So they want everything to look beautiful. If you have a beautifully tiled niche with some ambient lights and some practical shelves in there, it will look beautiful. And it's about making the most of that space, especially if you've got wall space and the cabinets are jutting out. It's very jarring to the eye. It's about creating a seamless experience in the space.
So, form, function.
Can I just follow up on that?
Yeah, please do.
Because I think the other thing we're definitely seeing, which is that's brought to mind for me, is that bespoke furniture in the bathroom. We're seeing a lot more of that. In fact, one of the stats I saw a few weeks ago is that so Victoria and Albert, freestanding bath specialists. Most of their baths, they also make matching basins, matching countertop basins, which sort of follow the same shape as the bath. But actually now 1 in 4 of the basins that we sell is undermounted, and it's because people are creating more of those kind of bespoke vanity units, creating some really interesting shapes using really interesting materials, and so the undermount often really suits that better than a countertop. And we I think that just we're seeing that in an awful lot of different aspects, that bespoke furniture.
Again, it's the way your eye flows when you're in the room, and because this is a relaxation space, you don't want anything that is jarring to on. That's my opinion anyway.
Hayley, finish up
because it's a bit like you said about partial refurbing of bathrooms. A really easy way to do that is to dress up the basin area with a mirror and lovely lights, because it really just adds an element of softness. But everybody still needs storage and function somewhere for all the stuff that we have. So, whether it's built in under furniture, which is why you're sort of seeing. Well, I also think from a design point of view, if you imagine at eye level, anything jutting out like a mirror cabinet, it's confusing. So having everything low, it just means your eye level is much more open. The space feels much bigger and cleaner.
So form, function, maximisation of space is what we're talking about in terms of product selection. Going to kind of move things on a little bit, because for me, attending trade shows is about as what's there, of course, but also what's not there. And one of the things that I've seen all of the recent shows is a very much a withdrawal from the kind of sustainability space for some reason. Much less around water efficiency, much less around kind of the carbon credentials of products. Just wonder why that is, and perhaps coming to you first, Nigel, given how much Aqualisa does around water efficiency, is it that those things are now, there's a baked-in expectation?
I think that, there's definitely an element of that. I think also within big organisations, there's been perhaps a bigger focus on overall corporate goals, sort of ESG, all of these sort of environmental and social principles that companies want to adhere to. And so perhaps a bigger focus on the big corporate messages rather than thinking so much about individual products. But they're still there. I mean, showering is always a difficult one because in the end, any shower manufacturer can make showers that use less water, but potentially the performance isn't as good, and people just end up having a longer shower to get the shampoo out of their hair. So, are you ending up kind of putting the, if you like, the guilt and responsibility of using more water onto the consumer rather than taking responsibility yourself? It's quite a difficult line. I mean, with Aqualisa, the digital technology that they have at least enables you to manage and monitor the amount of water, so you can literally follow that, which at least puts you in a level of control. But and sorry, this is my last product plug, I promise. But one of the really interesting new products, and definitely is I think it's the biggest talking point on our stand, is Victoria and Albert's new Ledro bath, which is designed to use about the same amount of water. Most people use about the same amount of water in that bath that they would use in a shower. And it does that by tapering towards the feet. It's a slipper bath, so you sort of sit and recline in it, and the bath tapers towards your feet. So there's no kind of wasted water around there that you don't need. It's a really clever piece of internal ergonomics, but it's also a very pretty bath. It was designed for the hotel industry, which has those water use regulations, but I think consumers will really like it, because the green products that consumers like are ones that look great, have great performance, but also you can feel good about it because you've made a responsible choice.
Yeah, and it does come down to who are they demanding? The client's asking specifically for those products. Not really, in my experience. But I think our job as manufacturers is to automatically, they expect that they're sourced in the right location, the factories are all doing what they should. There's, like you say, corporate responsibility. All of those elements should be coming from the top down. And as a designer, I think it's our job to direct clients to the right products, because they're not going to ask it. They would make a choice if you said, here's this one and this one, they're the same price, but this one is more environmentally friendly, then they'll go with it. But I think we do a lot of it automatically without even telling the client about it. Dual flushing, rimless toilets, all these things which aren't sexy, but we sort of do it automatically because we've learnt about it. They're not doing it all the time, so they're not making decisions based on that. But as a designer, we are sort of putting that into them without even having to really explain it, unless you get the client who is really conscious, and you do get them. But a lot of the time it is about the materials, what it's made of, where's it come from, where's it manufactured. So it's not just about this specific product and the credentials. It's all the other stuff. How did it get here? What's the carbon footprint? What's the delivery? So there's lots of elements, but I think manufacturers have a responsibility to do that. I think we as designers have a responsibility to specify and put those products in our design.
Just one more thing. I think perhaps the story we don't tell enough about sustainability is, when we choose products, is longevity. One of the least sustainable things you can do is buy something and throw it out after 2 years or 3 years. So products that are built with a really long lifespan in mind, and that's back to what we're talking about in trends, choosing timeless products that are going to, that are still going to feel, stylish and right and appropriate in 10, 15, 20 years time. Making those choices is also, it's the sustainable story we don't often tell in this industry, and we should do, because lots of stuff we make can really last.
I remember a seminar Wayne Hemingway did, and he said, look at this row of terraced Victorian houses in Manchester. They've been there for hundreds of years. That's sustainability, things that last. So it's buy better, buy quality, and so it does last. And it's not following a trend, so it's going to be out of fashion, you're going to want to rip it out. It's make it personal, make it function really well, and it will look good.
Buy better, buy once, as the old saying goes.
Yeah. I was going to say is buy better, buy once. What we find is they'll look at a mirror. Well, why is your mirror more expensive? Because it will last longer. So it's not just about sustainability of the product. It's made well and it's built to last, and it will last for the lifetime of that bathroom. So I think for us, it's buying well.
And do you think that's a message that lands with consumers when you're having conversations with them about design?
Well, I don't have a conversation about design, but when we're talking to our retailers, we're saying, when you're buying a product, when you're selling a product to your client, you're talking about an investment. So if the product is slightly more expensive, you need to sell the reason why it's more expensive, because it's going to last longer. And if you're looking in a brochure, one mirror could look the same as another, but you need to ask the questions as a designer. If something goes wrong, is there a spare part, or do I have to throw the whole product away because I bought it cheaply? Whereas if you buy a better quality product, you'll get a spare part for that product. So that's being sustainable.
Hayley, when you sit down with a customer and they're kind of coming in with a blank sheet of paper, I don't know if that still happens. Where do you start? Like, what's the first part of the conversation?
I mean, for us, design is first, spatial planning. For me, it's easy to make a bathroom look good when it's designed well and it's going to function well. It's very hard to do the opposite. So for me, it's always about understanding the client, who's using the bathroom, who's in their family, how long are they going to live there, what kind of style architecture is their property, because all of these things have to align to get a successful result.
You still start with a pencil and some gridded paper?
Well, we use CAD, but yeah, but the same principle is, it's got to work, it's got to flow, and that's sort of what we were talking about. A spa-like bathroom it should be, the light switch should be in the obvious place. You should be able to turn the shower on before you get in, so you're not getting wet. You should be able to grab a towel when you get out, this niche to put your shampoo and do, all of these little things that we take for granted. We should make it a pleasure to use, because it makes our life easier and less stressful. And then all the materials we're surrounding ourselves with should be, pleasurable. They should.
And it sounds, and that, in some ways that sounds, just good, obvious design common sense. And yet you go into new builds, we're talking about new builds, and they're just not done like that. You just can't understand how bathrooms can be designed that wrong. And I think, in this hall, there's so many people who have tremendous, design and bathroom knowledge. And I think perhaps it seems like common sense to us, but it isn't common sense, because you can see how badly it's often done out there in the real world. We have that knowledge. It's down to us to share it,
Well, one of the things we're quite often talking to government about is the building regulations for new build, and whilst there is a continual drive for, say, lower flow showers, actually, if the first thing that a consumer does when they move into their new home is rip it out and put in a 12-litre shower, you've just made a worse environmental impact. So,
Tom, common sense is not common. And many house builders don't have bathroom designers who actually know how to design the bathroom and how it should be used. Talking about the bathroom, if I'm talking about a hotel, I've been into hotels where they haven't even had a shower basket or a niche. I have to bend down to pick up my shampoo. It's these really simple things. I went to one hotel and I gave them a little talking to afterwards to the owner, and I said, you haven't got a shower tray, you haven't got a hook. And she was very insulted, but I thought, I'm not going there again. Because when you walk into a bathroom, you've got to be able to use it. It may look fabulous, but if you can't use it and it's not functional, and house builders, especially maybe at the mid, not at the top, they're just putting basic product and they're saying, oh, we're using this brand and that brand, but you look at it and you think this is absolutely awful, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
So we've insulted house builders, hotel developers. Any other sectors you want to cover off?
I'm going to go to the audience for some questions in a moment, but just one more question before I do, and that's around some of the coverage around the so-called golden ratio of one bathroom to one bedroom. Now, obviously, this is, as Bathroom Manufacturers Association, this is something we're pretty keen on, but are you actually seeing that out in the real world in terms of the customers and your eventual customers?
I mean, it depends what level. No. It depends what level of the market you're at
Yeah.
as well. It really does. And I think yeah, it's a lovely idea, and at a certain level, yes. Because like you said, it's a personal space. You're naked. You want to lock the door. To be able to have an environment that is maybe off your bedroom that's dedicated to you, great. But that's not the real world in a lot of scenarios. So what you really have to do is make that 1 or 2 space work really, really hard for the people who are using it. And that is about design, ultimately. And like you said about house builders, the frustrating thing I find is it doesn't mean spending more money, it just means doing more with it and designing it better. Because and often, it's the same price. It just could be so much better.
Being smart, but do feel free to spend more money as well.
They should have hired Haley.
Yeah. Folks, do we have any questions from the audience at all? You're all being very shy. Okay, so I'm going to relay the question so the audience can hear. So Lisa's asked, she's got a really small bathroom. She wants it to have form and function. Where does she start?
I mean, I don't think space is the barrier, honestly, because we work in London predominantly, where people might have the budget, they don't have the space. So the only way you solve that issue is through design. And like I said, a lot of manufacturers are creating really clever products that make that possible, which is all about, obviously you want everything to feel as big as possible, you want it to be as light as possible, but you want it to function. And there's lots and lots of clever ways to do that. And often we are working in really compromised spaces. It's just thinking differently,
And I think that's key, is working, don't start from the point of view of, what do I have to leave out? Start with a list of the things you want, and then I think, we're talking about this this sort of big bathroom expertise that just is, there's so much of it in this hall, and find a designer to help you with it, and give them the list in the order of the things that are most important, and they'll find a way. I mean, yeah, you're right. Britain famously has the smallest bathrooms in Europe, but the case studies that we have around the country of products that are fitted in UK bathrooms and still in the smallest spaces look amazingly luxurious and clearly work fantastically. It is possible. There is a way.
Sophia?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And again, in tiny bathrooms, one of the most important things are the mirrors, which add reflection, give the illusion of space, add beauty. But when I go into London showrooms and see these tiny little spaces, the size of a shower, and they've managed to fit a basin, a shower and a toilet, and they look absolutely gorgeous, no bigger than a broom cupboard.
We got a session tomorrow with Monty Ravenscroft from Hyderloo, which is another way of just creating more space in your bathroom. Quite an interesting product. Any other questions from the audience, folks? Okay, I'm going to put one last question to the panel around technology trends. Are there any kind of new innovative technologies which you think are going to be quite disruptive, create a trend?
Well, it's been interesting wandering around the hall, so I'll try not to just talk about our products. I don't like to talk about mirrors where I've got Sophia beside me. It's been interesting to see mirrors that have technology built into them. I think they're not going to be for everyone, but I can see that they work for some people. Definitely the research that we do suggests that people are using their devices in the bathroom much more, and so technology that enables you to do that in a way that doesn't make your iPad fizz obviously has utility. For us with Aqualisa, there's some really cool digital tech coming down the line. I mean, I just say watch this space. I think digital showers, it's a thing that's time has come, and I think that's going to be really exciting. So I'll just say those two things.
Whereas I'm a bit anti-technology in the bathroom, because for me it should be the space you don't take your phone and you do switch off, and TVs in bathrooms that's not working for me. And I think we want to remove the technology. I do believe inconspicuous technology can really enhance how you use it, but not gadgety technology, and so I'm a bit of a no-no to that. But I do think when we talk about technology, I think there's going to be changes in the way people buy bathrooms, and let's not even start talking about AI and all that kind of stuff. But that's where we're, I think, going to see massive changes in how we purchase and how we buy and how we source them.
Bit of a plug for the BMA conference.
There's a
We've
little
got
plug.
we've got a
We get
workshop
paid.
on how AI is going to change things in the bathroom. So thank you for that. Sophia?
I'm with Hayley. No technology in the bathroom. I hate gadgets. Anything that's a gadget. But in terms of technology, for us, AI and what you can do and how you can imagine your bathroom space. So when you've got that little broom cupboard space, having the technology to create a design and how it will work. But yes, we're technology-free zone.
And for what it's worth, something that we're seeing coming forward. This is all very techy and geeky, but there's some rethinking of things as basic as the toilet configuration that's going to tackle some of the thorny issues like leaky loos in the future. And as I said, I promised you it's geeky, but that's coming to market this year, and it's quite exciting if you're in WCs and water policy like I am. So, right, final question. What's the one thing that you want everyone in our audience to leave with today?
I suppose the thing that this is an event that happens every 2 years, and I'm always just struck when I come here. I love coming to KBB, and everyone who comes here really cares about this world. I'm an accidental bathroom specialist. I didn't set out to sell toilets and showers and baths, but it's a really lovely industry to be in. It's interior design. It is colours and trends in the longer term. It's beautiful products. We're very lucky to work in this industry. And I've talked to so many people over the last couple of days who actually are really positive about the future. You look how busy this is. There was 20% more people here on the Sunday than there were 2 years ago. You read all this stuff about economic gloom, and obviously things are going to be flat the first 6 months of this year. But there's huge optimism for the future, I think. I'm really encouraged.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think ultimately, the reason we do what we do is because we believe that we can make things better, and we believe we can enhance people's lives through design, and especially in the spaces that really, change their life, their kitchens, their bathrooms, really important places in their home. And so that's, and for us, that's about good design and buying once, buying better. You get what you pay for at the end of the day.
I agree. I'm really excited as a brand working with designers and seeing how they push boundaries and how they work to create an absolutely amazing space.
Fabulous. So I'm going to ask Nigel, Hayley and Sophia to stick around on the stand to answer any one-to-one questions you may have. But in the meantime, please put your hands together for our wonderful panel.